Hi, my name is Luca. I am one of the co-safety captains on the team 2220 Blue Twilight. I am currently involved in mechanical, mostly involved with MTR, which is the business side or chairman's for robotics, and I'm obviously involved with safety. I'm going to be a sophomore this year.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm the other co-safety captain, and I'm usually in mechanical, and I help build the robot in CAD.
So general meeting practices. So when making up your COVID-19 plan, you want to, these are more of the basics of where you want to start. So right off the bat, you need to be consulting with your school administration. Your school is going to be the person, it's going to be the thing that's going to have the most power over whether or not you're going to be competing in a season, right? So your school is going to have its own little guidelines of what it deems is safe and what it deems is not safe. So you need to have good communication between a representative of your school and your team so that you can have a good idea of if you're meeting those guidelines or not. Also, in addition to that, you can be pulling ideas from other guidelines. Like, for instance, we pull some of our ideas from the CDC's plans and recommendations for staying safe during the COVID-19. Second is make sure that you're wearing masks properly so that they effectively stop the transmission of COVID-19. So as you can see here in our like little picture, the cat, is really cute. Anyways, make sure that it's above your nose and covering your mouth so that it can effectively work properly. Practice good social distancing, have a limited capacity of students on site, and have a way to like gauge how your students are feeling. So one way we do this is we're going to have a poster on a window or something, some sort of stand, I guess. So a student, when they walk past it, it'll have a list of questions, I guess. So these questions will vary from how are you feeling? Do you think that you were up for this? Kind of just a reminder of make sure that you're feeling well so that you can healthily be in this setting of our team on-site practices. And last but not least, record attendance. You want to make sure you know effectively who's there and who's not there on the on-site practices and meetings.
And these are some personal student responsibilities or things that everyone should make sure and be keeping track of for themselves. So, of course, if you know that you're sick, stay home. Everyone should make sure that they're practicing social distancing, which is staying 6 feet or more away from each other. People should bring their own mask and safety glasses. Masks, again, have to be uh, either two-layered or one of those medical grade masks. Don't use those pull-up um, one layered mask. Remember to wash and sanitize your hands frequently. And these are just some steps that you should be incorporating into your own hand sanitizing. Make sure to sanitize your hands for at least 20 seconds or as long as it takes to sing the ABCs or the alphabet. Make sure that you cover all of your hand to make sure that none of the virus is left. The same thing goes for hand washing. Make sure that you wash for 20 seconds and make sure that you wash thoroughly because corona can stay on your skin for up to 9 hours.
So group team responsibilities. These are things that your team as a whole needs to be doing in order to have an effective COVID-19 plan. So you need to be aware of the number of people on site. One way we do this is we have a sign up genius, as you can see over here, which kind of allows us to have an idea of how many people are going to be at the meeting before the meeting even happens. And then in addition to that, we have an on-site attendance. So someone will be marking off and seeing who's actually attending the meeting in person. The reason why this attendance is so important is because it allows for effective tracing. So let's say someone does get sick when you're having a team meeting. You need to be able to effectively know who they came in contact with so that you can contact them so that they're aware of the conditions that they were placed in order to prevent possible spread of the COVID-19 virus. In addition to that, make sure that you're practicing good hand sanitization, make sure that you have proper cleaning supplies like mask, hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, paper towels, all of the basic stuff in order to sanitize everything thoroughly.
And these are things that you should do before a meeting in order to prepare for it. So before a meeting, you want to keep track of attendance. So for us, we have a sign-up genius that people sign up so we know who's going to physically be at the meeting. And when you get to the meeting, we also keep track of who's actually there at the meeting. We also have an agenda. The agenda is for us to know what our goals are and how much we improved on trying to achieve that goal. It also keeps us on track so that we're less prone to try to socialize and talk to our friends. We also have a designated working area. So for us, that's in the cafeteria, but we don't use the entire cafeteria, so we don't have to clean the entire cafeteria. We keep different sub-teams separate in order to make sure that they're social distancing. Also remember to sanitize your equipment before and after the meeting, but first you have to make sure what tools you're going to use so you don't have to sanitize the rest of the equipment that you're not using. And remember to not share equipment unless absolutely necessary. So if you're using an Allen wrench, you don't need to share those because usually people have a lot of Allen wrenches.
So potential meeting locations. So obviously your meeting locations will vary depending on the circumstances or whatever the situation is normally. So these are more of some ideas that you can take and incorporate in your team, in your plans. So obviously virtual is best. So it's just better. There's no possible way that you can contract COVID-19 when you're talking to someone virtually. So virtual is best. Default to virtual if you have no other idea of what to do. You can go through virtual through Zoom meetings, Skyping. There's tons of ways. Just find virtual is usually better. Work outside if possible. The ventilation is just better outside. Plus, it'll be easier to have good social distancing. If working outside is not possible, again, we do live in Minnesota, so obviously the weather is kind of not always reliable. So if you can't work outside, work in a place that has very good ventilation or has open windows or open doors, somewhere that the airflow can flow very well. And again, a place that allows people to practice good social distancing.
And these are things that you should be doing while you're at the meeting and during the meeting. So, of course, you should make sure that you're social distancing, and that again means 6 feet or more. Remember to wear masks and safety glasses. Glasses may make it safer because it makes it so that you can't touch your eyes or the virus can't get into your eyes. Don't share tools, and if you do share them, remember to sanitize them before sharing them. For us, our MTR works remotely, and that is our entire business team, chairmans, and outreach. Our programmers also work remotely because they can upload the code to the robot remotely, and if they need to test things with the robot, they just contact someone who's on site in order to test it. Our mechanical team, who is usually on site, they wear safety glasses and practice social distancing. They also frequently hand sanitize tools and their hands, and remember to clean the, everything frequently. Our control team, they can work remotely, and when they do, they just communicate with the mechanical team in order to change things on the robot, or if they're at the meeting physically, they of course wear safety glasses and masks.
So after the meeting, once the meeting happened, how do you properly clean up and put everything back to where it was originally? So obviously you need to clean up your work area. Anything that you possibly touched, anything that you possibly came in contact with, anything that you did come in contact with, sanitize everything. You can't over sanitize. So don't leave anything up to doubt. Just sanitize when in doubt, sanitize. So also in addition to that, check stock for safety supplies. So the main idea behind this is more of making sure that you are ready to go for the next meeting, right? So if you don't have enough hand sanitizer, you need to make sure that you get more of that. Just making sure that you're ready to go for next meeting, right?
And mental health is something that's not really talked about. People don't really remember it as much, but it is very important, especially during the pandemic. And these are just some ways to help you keep yourself mentally healthy. So, of course, you want to be safe, but you also want to stay connected to your friends and family. Even if you can't be there with them physically, you want to be able to see them through a virtual means or even just texting them. And you also want to remember to keep a hopeful attitude. Don't let yourself be overworked or stressed out. And you can do that by taking care of your body, eat well, sleep well, exercise. Remember to unwind when you need to after, so you don't overwork. And Luca will have more on mental health.
Yeah, so one thing to add is make sure that you aren't underestimating the importance of mental health. For example, before COVID-19, the statistic that I knew best was 1 in 4 teens had a sort of anxiety disorder or some depressive disorder. So it is very common among teens, and seeing that it's a pandemic, I can only assume that it'll get worse. So ways to mitigate the effects of this pandemic is you're making sure that you take time for yourself, right? Don't There's a lot of stigma around the pandemic and quarantine and things like that, that you need to be productive. If you're not being productive, you aren't using your time wisely, you're not a good citizen, all of this, a lot of. Make sure that you don't listen to them. Obviously, no, there's nothing that even proves that you aren't a good person if you aren't productive. Don't let other people's views dictate what you need to do. Along with that, making sure that you stay connected, like Sarah said, with your friends and family. If you feel unwell, make sure that you have someone to talk to. If you need someone to talk to, find the person to talk to. Worst comes to worst, talk to one of your teammates. Usually you're very close with your teammates. They're there for you all the time. You guys go through a lot with them. Your teammates will always be there for you. So don't be afraid to rely on them. Make sure that you're focusing on facts. So during this COVID-19 pandemic, there's a lot of opinions that are going around. So one of them is that it's not as serious. Others are that's very serious. Make sure that you stick to statistics. For instance, 200,000 people have died from this. So obviously it's very serious, but don't let that number overwhelm you, right? Make sure that you take a step back and think about what that number means to you, right? So take a break from the news. Don't be afraid to. Obviously, you should stay informed, but don't think that not being informed is a bad thing all the time. Take a break from the news. The news is very depressing. It can bring a lot of people down sometimes. So don't be afraid to just take a step back and have some time for yourself. that being said, that is all that we have for today. So if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to talk to, I know that there will be a Q&A after you see this. Also, in addition to that, here are some communication ways that you can talk to us through our email, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. So it was really nice talking to you and presenting to you. I hope this information helped you in your pursuit of making a mitigation plan for COVID-19. And that'll be all. Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.